Back to the race for the GOP nomination and the fight to get on the debate stage 19 days from today. Joining me now for more is presidential candidate and former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson back with us. Governor, good to have you on. Good morning. So, Governor, I'm wondering, so Donald Trump indicted yesterday for a third time. Let's say he's convicted and you're elected president. Would you pardon the former president?
Well, I certainly wouldn't talk about it during the scope of the campaign. I think it's inappropriate, clearly inappropriate, to be discussing pardons during the time that you're also trying to win votes. And so we separate those issues. I used the pardon power when I was governor. Obviously, you would consider any case that appropriately came before you, but no promises, no guarantees, and we're not talking about potential pardons during the course of this campaign.
Why not?
Well, because it's unseemly. First of all, it comes across as you're promising pardons for votes. And whether it's former President Trump or somebody else that comes to me and says, hey, I can bring you all kinds of support, but we want you to be able to pardon somebody. So that crosses the line. Secondly, it undermines our jury system. You know, we've got a serious indictment here, and you can from a public relations standpoint, say it's unfair. I've represented clients in court that I believe the prosecutions were unfair, and you go to a jury and they determine guilt or innocence. If you start doing pardons and promising pardons in advance of a jury trial determining guilt or innocence, that undermines our criminal justice system.
Governor, I'm not convinced it does undermine our criminal justice system, and there are other candidates out there who have already committed to the possibility of pardoning Donald Trump. Ron DeSantis has said that that is definitely on the table if he's elected. Do you think by coming out definitively against the possibility of a pardon, you're actually hurting your ability to get yourself on the debate stage in 19 days?
Well, I'm stating my convictions, first of all, and I think that's important for any candidate to do. As to whether that gets me on the debate stage, we'll see.
Well, that's what it's all about. You're running for president, sir. You know, we've got to do things that are going to help us get elected here. That's politics.
Well, I am.
You know that.
And we're going to get on the debate stage. We're doing everything that we can to do it. But there's also a rights and a wrongness that you have to determine, and I don't believe that's right.
Do you think what's happening to Donald Trump is right?
Well, I can contrast it with the investigation on Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, and I can critique that for sure. I can critique the first indictment in New York that I think was politically motivated and wrong. And I think that started the swell of angst of the Republican voters that this is unfair treatment. And that is certainly the perception. Do I think that this is unfair? That an indictment has been brought for January 6th. I think that it's a difficult case for the prosecutor, but they've prosecuted and sent to jail almost 300 that attacked the Capitol. And so the question as to whether there's a higher level of responsibility, I've said that Donald Trump is morally responsible, but it's absolutely a separate question as to whether he's criminally responsible, and that's what a jury is going to have to decide.
And, Governor, do you think there is a part of the DOJ and the Biden administration that, look, let's face it, Monday morning, Tuesday morning, it was all about Devin Archer and his testimony on Capitol Hill, and wouldn't you know, at 5:30 p.m. Tuesday, we get this third Trump indictment. Do you think that's part of the calculus on the part of the DOJ and the Biden administration? Look here, not there.
Well, I would say this, that the Department of Justice, in particular the FBI and all federal law enforcement, needs dramatic reform. And that's why I have announced my plan to reform federal law enforcement that includes restricting the jurisdiction of the FBI, providing more congressional oversight and oversight from the Department of Justice as well. Under my administration, you will have new leadership, a new direction of the Department of Justice, and I've outlined that in my reform of federal law enforcement plan.
Governor, Morning Consult had a poll that came out on Tuesday. You were at 0% in that poll. If the debate were held today, you would not be on the stage. How close are you right now to making up that ground?
Well, first of all, on the polling data, we've already qualified for the debate. And I know that's the Morning Consult poll, but the Rasmussen poll had me at 4%. nationwide. And so we've qualified for the debate in that context. We have to in terms of our 40,000 donors, and asa2024.com helps me to get on that debate stage. We're pulling out all the stops to get there. We got about 2.5 weeks left.
Okay. Good luck to you there. Just a quick one. The House may or may not move forward with impeaching President Biden in September. Would you support that?
Well, I think it's appropriate to finish the investigation. There's a lot we don't know as to what's happened in Delaware with the money that flowed, as to whether any of that wound up in the president's hands, and we don't know whether he was involved with the business to the extent that it has the line into corruption. So let's look at it. Let's investigate it.
So that's a maybe for now.
Well, let's get the investigation, and then you determine. I've prosecuted a president, so I don't have any hesitate doing it.
Right.
But let's get the facts out front.
All right, Governor Asa Hutchinson, thanks so much for being with us this morning. We appreciate it, and good luck to you, sir.